Assalamualaikum. This is Ibrahim Ahmed from Torque. We are here for the live discussion with our guests. जिस पे हम बात करेंगे कि am I the only hurdle in my success? और इस पे हमारे साथ we have a very good guest. So Imad.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for having me. Just to give you a quick background in terms of what I do, my whole business is around migrating people from the preoccupation of doing to an expression of being. And I know that's very heavy when you hear it, but how I sort of achieve that is through my profession as a professional coach, a performance coach, a results coach, and I really like to help people live their full potential.
Yeah, cool. So a question, when you talk about coaching, what is the main difference between coaching, mentoring and counseling for that matter?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are they same or different, and how they are different? And what's your perspective on that?
That's a very good question. I think, all of these avenues are actually designed to help people. So in that comparison, there isn't really much. But in terms of definition and how they're focused in terms of the work that they do, essentially from my perspective, a coach is someone who helps break down the mental barriers and helps people achieve the goals that they sort of desire. A mentor, on the other hand, is someone who has expertise in a specific area and through that helps guide individuals or advise individuals to take a certain trajectory. And then a counselor, in my opinion, I believe, is someone who helps people address past trauma, past tragedy, etc. We all are in the same field, but my profession sort of revolves more around becoming a coach and helping people really break down what is it that's holding them back. And once we've identified that, we're able to get them to achieve, first of all, think about what is it that they want to achieve and how can we develop a plan to help them get there.
Yeah, that's cool. अच्छा, अगर आपको लग रहा है कि हम कोचिंग की क्या बात कर रहे हैं, तो just to give you a quick insight, टॉर्क हमेशा से ही एक लर्निंग एंड डेवलपमेंट का इदारा रहा है जिसमें हम अदारों के साथ, इंडिविजुअल्स के साथ काम करते हैं उनके ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल डेवलपमेंट पे, टीम बिल्डिंग, लीडरशिप, सॉफ्ट स्किल्स पे. But now we have added a lot of things in our portfolio, and one of the things is again the coaching. क्या है, हम कैसे करेंगे, इसके लिए, इसमें आपके लिए क्या है, इस पे हम बात अमाद के साथ करेंगे. लेकिन हमारे साथ हमारी तीसरी गेस्ट हैं जो कि बताएंगे कि वो टॉक में क्या देख रही हैं, उसका पर्पस क्या है उसका. सो फिजा प्लीज़ अगर आप क्विकली बताएं.
I'm heading the pharma business at Torque, and just continuing the discussion from here, Ahmed, I would like to know कि जो आपने कोचिंग की बात की, तो मुझे ये बताएं कि कोचिंग जो है वो सिर्फ इंडिविजुअल्स के लिए होती है या कॉर्पोरेट्स भी इसके अंदर शामिल होते हैं, और अगर कॉर्पोरेट्स के लिए होती है तो थोड़ा उसके ऊपर गाइड करें, बिकॉज वी वर्क विद कॉर्पोरेशंस, वी वर्क विद इंस्टीट्यूट्स, तो वहाँ पर कोचिंग किस लेवल की होती है, थोड़ा इसके ऊपर हमें गाइड करें प्लीज.
That's a good question, and coaching comes in many shapes and sizes and forms. Coaching essentially is to help individuals really break out of their shell because there is potential that is seen. From an organizational standpoint, it's the same concept. So if you think about where does the concept of coaching actually come from, it began in the sports arena. And a coach essentially is focused on helping not only build the personalities of the team that can perform at their particular positions, but at the same time, how does the coach bring everyone together? So in the same context, if you look at it from an organizational standpoint, organizations comprise of individuals, they comprise of teams, they comprise of groups, and the idea is to help them all get together on the same page so that they're able to perform at a very, very consistent level. So my whole role, and of course one of my titles amongst many others, is an organizational performance coach, and it's really how do you help build the capacity and the capabilities of people within the organization that will allow, yes, the organization to grow, but simultaneously get the individuals to really live the vision and the purpose that the organization
is standing for.
That's great. So talking about performance, आपने अभी 3-4 दफ़ा उसका जिक्र किया. I would like to know what affects my performance. Is it my limiting belief or my creativity, my imagination? Like अगर मैं और फिजा we are the part of the same team and she is so pro at something, and on the other hand I'm not meeting my deadlines और मैं वो काम उस तरह से deliver नहीं कर पा रहा. So is there anything called limiting belief that has to do anything with the performance? Does it affect the performance or it does not? And if it does, how can we get rid of it?
That's a very interesting question, and I think on that note, I'm going to address this idea of limiting beliefs. And I believe that every single individual has a belief. There's no one person that doesn't. And the idea behind this limiting belief implies that a belief can come to zero.
Yeah.
Now, when you think about beliefs, beliefs can be either positive or they can be negative. And when we think about beliefs in itself, and when we talk about it in the general scheme of things, we look at it from the perspective of positivity. We have to believe in something in order for us to achieve it. But we never focus too much in terms of the negative side of it. And what I've sort of come to discover is that you, or individuals, not you particularly, but individuals, generally speaking, a majority of them are really stuck in their own mind.
Okay.
And that is definitely down to the fact that their beliefs are more focused on what their experiences have been, and as a result have sort of held them back. So over time, those beliefs that they are conditioned by are building a brick wall. So the more you believe in something, the harder it gets.
Yeah.
So you can take it in two ways. So that's one aspect of it. So what I'm going to talk about is this idea of performance and how does beliefs impact performance. And I'll give you an example. If you don't believe you have the ability to swim, would you jump in the water?
No.
Probably not. It's reason why that probably happens, and it doesn't happen when you're born, but it's conditioned in you over time. A circumstance may have happened, somebody may have told you something that you believe, that sort of
Some
set up
fear
that
might
belief.
have been
Some
instilled
fear
into
may
you.
have been instilled, you may have drowned one time. It could have been a multitude of things. But what happens is that over time you start to believe it so much more that it becomes
Reality.
fixed in your system. And what I do as a coach is to really help people identify what that core belief is that they have, negative or positive, well, negative predominantly. And then we take that and help them understand that it's merely a fear-based notion. So if you think about fear, it's either you face everything and run, or you, I don't know what the other version is, but
But Imad, tell me how difficult it is to, we are talking about belief. It is something which is very fundamental to human existence. Something that you believe in, something that you have been conditioned to believe in. We can put it in that perspective as well. How difficult as a coach it is to, get to the point where you are shaking that notion and telling people about things that they think are right and you think is something which is, limiting. Just
And
tell us
before you
your
answer that, we don't have to
experience
give our
about that.
secret sauce to the audience, right? That they can book through an appointment with us.
that's true. So, if you think about the limit, sorry, you'll have to repeat your question. You just threw me off guard.
I was asking that as a coach, how difficult it is to, get to the notion and shake the belief of people, because it is something which is very fundamental to their existence.
Right.
So just
So
tell us your
that's-
experience about that.
That is interesting, and I think when it comes to coaching or any profession that involves engaging people, is you have to truly understand them at a deep level.
Yeah.
And without even doing that, providing any sort of recipe for success, it never works. And through the approach that I take revolves around sort of guided conversations. And it's really building a rapport, it's building trust, it's building commonality, it's building credibility with the individual to get them to really expose themselves, which can be very, very scary at times. But the idea is you've got to get down to the core. And not only is it to bring that awareness out, it's also to accept it. And when you accept what the issue is, only then are you able to take the next step towards achieving what it is that you want to achieve. Difficult, easy, it's hard to say which is either or, because everybody is very, very different. Everybody's very, very unique. And when we talk about individuals, it's really first trying to understand them. So it could be in one session, it could be in two, it could be in 5, but it's really focused predominantly on the first step of really understanding them at the core so that they understand themselves. And it's through the mode of not telling, but through asking.
Yeah, so
Probing. I think
probing.
that's probing.
So Fizan, the word that you use is conditioning. In the question. So I would like to ask question around that. In that mindset of the limiting or an empowering belief, whatever I have in my mind, does this my social conditioning have anything to do with it? मतलब वो उसको किसी तरह से fuel करते हैं, or is it I mean, the people around me और जिस environment में मैं बड़ा हो रहा हूँ, so my upbringing, my social conditioning, how it affects the belief system of an individual.
You know, we as individuals, we tend to prison ourselves around the circumstances that we live in. And what I've come to discover is that there are 5 core areas, and I won't get too deep into it, but there are 5 reasons why people would not be able to fulfill their truest potential and capitalize on the possibilities that there are. One is the past. And if you think about what happened in the experiences that you've experienced in the past, that actually is a result of the emotions that you have now. And those emotions actually drive how you behave moving forward. So that's the first part of it. The second thing that could be happening is you diving into and emotionally charging yourself based on other people's opinions and judgment. That you end up believing what other people say. And if somebody turns around and says, you're no good, you're not worth it, you will never become great, and you end up believing them, it's going to happen. And it's unfortunate that most of the time, if not some of the time, it's our parents that impose that belief. And we drive into that and then close ourselves off. So that's the second thing. The third thing is this idea of limiting beliefs. Is that we, through our experiences and through our life journey, we have created what we think is who we are. And that has sort of held us back because, to your point, you talked about fear. We've created a fear of the unknown. And we're very comfortable as creatures to know what we're used to, which is why, when they talk about the survival brain, 70% of our brain is really fixated on this idea of survival. What I mean by survival is something that we're aware of, certain about. We don't want to delve into the unknown because we don't know what the outcome is going to be, and our fear actually creates an image of what it might be. So that's the third thing, limiting beliefs. The fourth thing, and it can be a very sensitive subject, is this idea of relationships. When we talk about relationships, it could be with your spouse, it could be with your boss, it could be with your peers, it could be with your children, your parents, whoever it may be. It's the relationship that you have with them that defines your identity. But one must realize that, the relationship with people is great, but we tend to have this notion that without this individual, we cannot be anybody. But we have to recognize that we are who we are. And if we are who we are, even in relationships, then we thrive. So we cannot get bogged down by what our relationships really have. They have an influence around us. And then the fifth thing, which of course is a necessity in everybody's life, is money. And when we think about money, a lot of our decisions are based around how can we make money? How can we do something that will provide us cash? Because we need to pay bills and school. And those are all important things, absolutely. But if we are actually making decisions based on money, then it's a wrong decision. That's my opinion. And I'll tell you, this is the one aspect that I learned from my dad and I continue to do, and I still don't understand why you keep drumming it into me, but I completely understand now. Only because I've actually gone into that phase where I'm never controlled by that aspect. So when it comes to you doing something, I would encourage everyone to sort of focus more on the value that you're adding and be in the service of others for the greater good.
So this reminds me of a famous saying by Zig Ziglar, one of my favorite people. He says, money is not everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen.
So इमाद, मुझे थोड़ा सा ये बताएं कि पाकिस्तान में जो ऑर्गेनाइजेशनल कोचिंग है, इसका कॉन्सेप्ट इज इट वेरी न्यू हियर, यहाँ पे होता है, एंड व्हाट हैज बीन योर एक्सपीरियंस हियर?
So I've been back to Pakistan about 6 months. I've just returned from Canada as well. And I've been in Canada for about 9 years, of which my focused attention around coaching has been about 5 to 6 years as well. So I came back to Pakistan with this belief that I can sort of help uplift this nation. Yes, it's a very big dream, but I believe it can be done. And it will be done, inshallah. Now, when you think about coaching as a tool and a concept in Pakistan, I've experienced that it's fairly new. A lot of people are now coming up with the idea of coaching and helping people. And slowly and gradually, it will start to gain traction. But the word training, I think, is very, very common here. So the idea behind coaching is really delving deeper into the key concepts around people and human behavior.
Cool. Imad, आपने भी थोड़ी देर पहले बात की when you talked about the survival mindset, limiting beliefs, necessity, certainty, uncertainty, love for money against the love for service, providing service to people. My question is इस सारे process में अगर मुझे अपना focus ठीक करना है और if I want to shift my focus from just materialistic things to rather servicing other, giving service to others as well, or getting rid of my survival mindset or my limiting mindset, how does coaching help me in all this process? I mean, does it facilitate? If it does, how it does it? Can I use coaching to get rid of all these things?
Excellent. Now, I believe coaching is essential for everyone,
Okay.
Myself included, and I believe even the most successful people in the world have coaches. Because there's always going to be elements that they are unaware of, or unconscious about. And that's just essentially what life is driven about. It's about the conscious and the unconscious. And when you become really aware about who you are and what are your struggles and what are your opportunities and what are your potential, what's your potential, you start to become this whole new human being. And if I were to break it down, and I don't want to get into too much detail, I know it's going to be a lot, but if you break it down, we as human beings are broken up into three parts. We're mind, body, and soul, and some like to call it spirit. And the idea behind the question that you had asked, I'm not going to get into the spirit side of life, but it's the body and the mind. So if you think about it, and I want you to think about it in this context where there's the master and slave relationship. Is your mind the master of your body, or is the body the master of your mind?
Wonderful.
And it sort of comes down to this aspect of habits. And over time, of course, habits are formed and created. And what is a habit? Habit is sort of a redundant, unconscious set of thoughts, beliefs, emotions that are taking place repeatedly. So much so that when we are when you think about limiting beliefs, that the flow with which those limiting beliefs consistently happen in our thoughts, we start to automatically do things unconsciously. So when you think about who we are, what do we do when we wake up? A lot of people tend to go on their phones and see Facebook. So we're actually conditioning ourselves based on the past emotions that we're bringing into this life, which is why we're stuck into the rest of the day. And coaching, what it helps with is breaking that habit, breaking that pattern, so that we can realign it or rewire it to be beneficial to you. Now, there's many concepts, many tools, many approaches that you can go about doing it. We certainly don't have the time now,
Yeah.
but it's definitely something that I would encourage anyone and everyone to look for. Look for a coach that can
So
help
can we
you.
say that coaching basically starts with awareness? Awareness that you need,
Some
assistance on
assistance,
something.
some support.
Oh, it definitely starts with awareness. So first of all, I think when you want to talk about start a coaching process, find someone that you're comfortable with. Unless you're comfortable with them, there's no way that process is
Yeah.
going to actually proceed forward. So once the engagement happens between two people or a group or a team,
Yeah.
then there's this idea that whatever this individual is sharing with me, it's going to benefit me. But then we're taking it down to a deeper level. But self-awareness, I think, is the predominant factor
Yeah.
to change. Now, change is an uncomfortable process. So when you think about habits, it comes down to that point. Why do you think people are afraid of change? It's because we are, that 70% that we talked about, it's going back into the unknown. Going back into the known.
Into
the
the known.
unknown
Yeah.
is where we struggle. So if 70% is actually controlling us going into the known, we don't want to change because it could be a lot
Yeah.
worse.
And before we go to the concluding thoughts and how you would be taking this coaching assignment from TOR's platform, I would leave that question to you. I mean, and then Fiza, if you can just brief people about what you are doing in TOR and how you are doing it. I just want to, give all of you guys an update. We at TORC have just started this program, this coaching program for individuals, for organizations, for individual coaching, for group coaching, and Imad would be our resource person for that as well. He brings in a lot of international experience to the table as well, and then like we have just witnessed the beliefs and how he goes about the problem. I mean, that's there. If any one of you who's watching the show and wants to have an appointment, one-on-one coaching with Imad, or if you want us to come and visit you in the organization and you want to plan something, a group coaching session or a session on coaching or a series of coaching sessions with your employees one-on-one, so you can visit our website. The number is shown on the screen. You can go to the website, you can call at the number, and we'll be happy to facilitate all of you. And we'll hope that we'll bring this trend in Pakistan, and we'll be able to cultivate more peak performers in the organizations. So Imad, before we go to your concluding remarks, please, if you can quickly tell us about the work that you are doing at Torque.
Thank you, Ibrahim. I would just like to take up from here, and I would like to tell the people who are watching that especially I am heading the pharma business at Torque, and especially with related to the sales and marketing people who are watching. हम जब बात करते हैं कोचिंग की तो हमारी हमेशा ये होती है कि हम एक विनिंग हैबिट की तरफ जाएं. सो जो हमारा एक्सपीरियंस है विद टॉर्क फार्मा वो भी यही है कि हम मार्केटिंग और सेल्स प्रोफेशनल्स के साथ काम कर रहे होते हैं और बहुत सारी डॉक्टर इंगेजमेंट्स वहाँ पे कर रहे होते हैं. सो इफ़ योर सेल्स टीम इज़ हैविंग ट्रबल, आई थिंक वो एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट होता है कि उनको ये समझाना, उनके लिमिटिंग बिलीव्स को तोड़ना और वहाँ से जो है वो आगे बढ़ना. सो योर टीम्स हु आर स्ट्रगलिंग, अगर आप उसके लिए चाहते हैं कि हम आपके पास आएँ और हम आपको उसके अंदर कुछ कोच कर सकें, तो आई थिंक दिस इज़ द बेस्ट प्लेटफॉर्म दैट यू कैन कम ओवर. आपको सारी डिटेल्स जो ऑलरेडी इसके ऊपर मिल रही होंगी, एंड वी कैन गिव यू अ विजिट, वी कैन कम, एंड इमाद इज़ द पर्सन who is here for coaching, for winning. So that's it. Imad, if you would like to add something.
Some concluding thoughts, and क्या सोच रहे हैं, क्या देख रहे हैं? I mean, how we'll want to go about this program in Torque?
First of all, thank you so much for having me. And it's whenever I talk about human potential, it just lights me up. But in terms of my concluding thoughts, I just want to encourage people. And I can look at the camera. Is it this one I'm looking at, perhaps? I just want to encourage people that design your life around the vision that you want. Otherwise, you'll be crippled by the past model of what you were. And on that note, inshallah, I look forward to working with each and every one of you. And if you're looking to engage me, like Ibrahim had indicated, the number is down here somewhere. Do give us a ring, and inshallah, we'll take it forward.
Yeah. And just on a lighter note before we end, because Imad has been speaking English throughout the session. Imad, can you give आप इख्तिताम में, आखिर में कोई उर्दू में पैगाम देना चाहेंगे हमारे देखने वालों को?
हम चाहते हैं कि आप उर्दू में
कोई हमारे देखने वालों को.
अच्छा, कोशिश करूँगा. जो हमने एक कोट अभी जिक्र किया है, राइट? विजन जो है, विजन को क्या कहते हैं उर्दू में?
नजरिया, दैट्स आइडियोलॉजी.
चलो, विजन जो है वो आप आगे के सोचें, और जो तुम्हारा पास्ट है उसमें ना डूब जाओ. See, don't worry about my Urdu. Inshallah, I'm in the business of human connection.
Yeah, and we'll try to coach him for Urdu as well. Don't worry, right? Thank you very much. This is Ibrahim Ahmad, Imad Rizvi, Fiza Rahman signing off. Thank you very much.
Thank you.